What's good, yo? It's your boy, that motherfucker Steve, and I'm out here from MCTV, but right now you're watching GFG TV with your boy, that motherfucker Steve, and we got the whole squad up in here. They got me in the hot seat today, so let's see what's popping. What's up? What's up, y'all?
So, well, first off, we'd like to say thank you for sitting down with us here at GFG TV. We appreciate your time, and we like to let everybody kind of introduce themselves. So, what is your name and where are you from?
I'm your boy, that motherfucker Steve Wilson. I've been out here long enough. Fucking Des Moines might as well be home, but I grew up in Wyoming. Moved out here about 23 years ago, something like that.
What city in Wyoming?
It's a small one. I'm just fucking with you.
Okay,
it's a little town called Sheridan.
Well, this motherfucker got charges out there.
I'm not allowed to talk about my prior life.
They're doing crimes in Sheridan.
They're doing background checks right now.
We're pulling addresses here. So, can you talk a little bit about growing up in Wyoming? A little bit about your childhood over there? What was that like?
Yeah, it was cool, man. You know, it's a good place for, you can pick out bad stuff anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, anybody can be like, man, there was nothing to do here or whatever. But I feel like, you know what I mean? If you're looking at the positive stuff, it was cool. I had a lot of cool people to hang out with. I did lots of snowboarding. There's not very many people there. There's more people in the city of Des Moines than the entire state. So you could go out to the woods and just go shoot guns. You know what I mean? Didn't have to worry about hitting anybody.
Super country boy shit.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's
What about school? You remember, like, were you in the same area for, like, elementary, middle school, high school type thing, or did you guys move around?
Yeah, I was kind of a fuck up when it came to that.
So
So I
bounce around.
Yep. I went to I got expelled when I was in 6th grade. Went to an alternative school.
What did you get in trouble for?
It was dumb shit. You know what I mean? It was like had some weed at school, type of shit, and I got expelled. Then I had to move. My parents were separated. Had to move in with my dad, and I was living with him for a little while, and had to go to a different town because he lived in a different town. And then I got expelled there. Had some weed at school again. Yeah. You know what I mean?
What your folks do for a living?
They both own their own businesses. And then I was like, fuck it, you know what I mean? School thing ain't working out for me, and so I ended up signing myself up for Job Corps. Did the Job Corps thing down in Colorado.
That's dope.
So yeah.
Job Corps, that's something that I wish I'd have thrown myself at because I was in the same boat, but I just dipped.
Yeah.
So Job Corps, that shit. I knew some people that went to the one up there, and here in Iowa.
Denison, I think.
Denison, yep. And yeah, those are dope opportunities, really.
I think more schools should be oriented that way because you did like 1 week of trade, so when you first get there, they would let you try out carpentry. You had to try out painting. You had to try out masonry. You had to try out all these different jobs to figure out which one you liked. So you do like a week in each class, and then you get to pick which one you wanted to enroll in. And sometimes you couldn't get in right away, so you'd have to kick it at another trade for a little bit, and then they'd move you in when a class opened up. But you did 1 week of trade, 1 week of school, and they had you get your GED first. That way, if you fucked up and got kicked out of there, at least you left with something. After you got your GED, you worked on to your diploma.
What trade did you choose?
I got my GED and my high school diploma. I had to start off in carpentry because computer networking was full, and so I did carpentry for a while, and then I moved on to and actually before you could go into computer networking, you had to do business tech, and so I did business tech, clerical shit, and so I got certified as a basically like an office manager, and then I went on and got certified as a computer networker.
So,
what would you say the most popular job that everybody wanted to do down there was? Like, what was it? Everybody trying to get into?
I was questioning that too. Like, was there a popular one?
So we had one of the biggest campuses, I think. There was 2 male dorms and 2 female dorms. and so there was a ton of people. But I would say, this was 25 years ago. I would say a lot of the dudes, it was pretty evenly balanced, but a lot of the dudes were trying to do like carpentry.
Okay.
Yeah, carpentry was big. Masonry, like bricklayers and shit like that, concrete. That was popular too. So, yeah.
It was a big campus, a lot of people.
Yeah, it was cool, man.
Yeah.
It was cool, and actually it was kind of wild because it was ran by the federal government, and it was almost like a military base. Like when 9/11 happened, I was on there, and so they locked it down. They had military vehicles all over it, and like locked the whole campus down. And we were in Colorado, like in the mountains, and shit. So
by military base.
Exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean. So they took that shit real serious. But where the fuck was I going with that? Yeah, man, it was a cool. It was a cool experience. It was weird though, because back then I smoked cigarettes, and we had a commissary. Kind of ran it like a jail.
Yeah.
We had a commissary. You got paid every 2 weeks for being in Job Corps, and it was not much. It was like $50 every 2 weeks or whatever. But it was a little bit of spending money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you could go in there. I guess I was 18 back then, but other people were 16, 17, whatever. Because I think you could enroll at 16, and oh shoot, how'd it work? You could be from 16 to 24. After you're 24, you aged out and you had to go on somewhere else. I don't know where the motherfuckers went. You're just done.
Jail.
You lost your chance.
Prison, motherfucker.
You had 3 chances. This is the 3rd. You're done.
Yeah.
You got any siblings at all?
I do. I got 5.
5 siblings?
Oh, I'm sorry, 4. I'm one of 5.
You're 1 of 5. Nice.
1 of 5. What's
Yeah.
the age ranges on that? Boys, girls, what's up?
All boys. I'm the middle. I got 2 younger, 2 older.
So what was it like being the middle, growing up with all boy siblings?
It was cool. You know what I mean? We kicked the shit out of each other. You know, I was always the one that was into something.
Yeah.
Always getting in trouble. So.
You was the Doug, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of how it worked out.
Yeah. Nice. So you had that transition period from Wyoming to smaller town life to popping a lot of people around.
Yeah.
Where did you go from there?
When I was in Colorado, it was still a smaller town because we were up in the mountains and stuff. It was on the western slopes over by Grand Junction. We'd go to Grand Junction and party on the weekends and stuff. And then when I was done there, I went to Denver.
How old was it?
Oh no, I didn't go to Denver. I went to Des Moines. I graduated, and my grandparents were supposed to be. So I got a lot of family out here.
Mm-hmm.
Not anybody that I'm super close to. You know what I mean? Not like relationship wise, but just like second cousins and shit like that.
Okay.
And great uncles, and so I came out here and I lived with my great aunt for a while. My grandma's sister, and she let me crash on her couch for next to nothing. I didn't even pay anything originally, and then after a little while, I started chipping in a little bit. But I was 18, I think, when I graduated and came out this way. And I was supposed to have a job. That was the whole reason I came out this way. I was supposed to be able to go and put my uncle down on a. Casey's was doing a big expansion for their gas stations, and they had to wire in all the computers and everything. Mm-hmm. And so they had an opportunity for this company called N9ne. Used to be over by Best Buy.
I remember N9ne.
Yeah. And so I guess they had picked up the bid to do the wiring for Casey's, and I think it was an uncle or a second cousin or something that was supposed to have worked for them, and I was supposed to show up and fill out an application and put his name down. And nothing ever amounted from it. I never got the job or anything, but I stuck around, and Des Moines was cool. I liked it, and I stuck around and kind of just I moved back to Denver for a little while along the way, and then I moved to North Carolina for just a little minute too. But I moved out there with some other folks, and there was like 4 of us in a little ass apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment, and it got to be too much. And I was just like, well, peace out. And North Carolina was cool, but it wasn't cool enough that I wanted to stick around. So when I peaced out, I just came back to Des Moines.
Nice.
Yeah, and so that was. So when I didn't get the job at N9ne, I started working at Chi-Chi's by Southridge. I worked there for a year or so, and then I moved to North Carolina. When I came back from North Carolina, Chi-Chi's had closed because they had filed bankruptcy. I think a bunch of people died. They had some bad produce or something.
Oh, shit.
And it was like a national supplier, and they had insurance or whatever, to cover that. But after, like, I think 8 people died or something from bad produce, and the lawsuits got so big that it surpassed the insurance that they had, and so the whole company had to file bankruptcy and close up.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can still buy the salsa. I bought some the other day.
Hell yeah, I know that Steve's nigga salsa still at the store.
Yeah.
They're like, look, nigga, we let y'all sell y'all recipes, and y'all can't run no publish.
That came in.
But everybody that was at Chi-Chi's had went to Hoo-Ha. And so it was almost like the whole squad, management and everything, they all got hired on at Hoo-Ha. And this was 03 when I came back. 03? 03 or 04? It was definitely 03. Yeah. And so I started on at Hoo-Ha when I came back. And it was cool because I just fell right into the same group, you know what I mean? It was all the people that I knew from the other joint. And so I had a whole bunch of friends, and I worked there for a minute, and it was a cool spot. And Des Moines has been good to me. I like Des Moines, you know what I mean? And it was cool because it was, back then I was chasing shows, you know what I mean? Shooting pictures and stuff and doing the interview game real hard. And if something wasn't cracking off in Des Moines, because our scene was still bubbling then, you know what I mean? It wasn't anywhere near where it's at right now. And so if there wasn't a show, a major show, you know what I mean, a major headlining artist, if they weren't hitting here, they were in Kansas City, and I could shoot down to Kansas City. Or maybe they were in Omaha or whatever, and so I could work a lunch shift, go cover a show, drive back, catch the next lunch shift, still awake, and then pass out, and then get a couple hours of sleep and work my dinner shift or whatever. So I wasn't missing any work. I was always working, but I was just hustling, running back and forth from city to city, running Minneapolis, turn around after the show, drive right back, work, go to sleep. You know what I mean? And I was able to cover a lot of ground. And I always told myself, if I was in Chicago, there'd be 30 other motherfuckers trying to, you know what I mean? You got to worry about the local hip hop radio station, who's got way more pull than just nobody dude from Wyoming, Colorado, or Iowa, right?
Yeah.
And so the competition was way steeper. If I lived in LA, there's 400 media companies out there trying to get interviews with plug-in artist name, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so when I first started doing it, I was the only motherfucker knocking on these doors, and you know what I mean? In Iowa for sure, but you know what I mean, in some of these other smaller markets too. And then once I got a little traction, it made it easier because I could reference who I had previously fucked with. But I attribute a lot of that to N9ne because he was the very first big artist that fucked with me, and he was so humble in the beginning, and we were already friends from just the shows and stuff, you know what I mean, or acquaintances or whatever. But you know what I mean, he treats everybody like a friend. But as things grew, you know what I mean, I'd see him more and more, and he'd be like, "Damn, what up? How you doing?" You know, but he showed a ton of love, so it really it gave me that status that helped climb up the ladder. You know what I mean? Because people were like, "Oh, well, if he's fucking with him, I could fuck with him." You know what I mean, or whatever.
So, you're living in relevance there.
Yeah.
You have a relevance, yeah. And through doing that, like, how did you get into, what brought you to the photography side?
So I had a homeboy who had bought a really nice camera, and he was just fucking with it, you know what I mean? He had some extra cash and was just for the fuck of it, bought a nice Canon, you know what I mean? It was a kit, had all the lenses and everything, and he didn't. I used it more than he did when he owned it. You know what I mean? We'd do something or go to a show, and he'd be like, "Here, take some pictures." And so I was figuring out how to work the camera and whatnot, and teaching myself. And so then eventually he was like, man, I don't even need this motherfucker. You use it more than I do. You should just buy it. And I was like, man, I ain't got that kind of bread. You know what I mean? I know you paid big money for this. And he was like, bro, at this point, I just want it gone. Let me get some money back out of it. And I was like, all right, I'll fuck with you. And so I got my first DSLR at that point.
Yeah.
And
remember what it was?
It was a Canon.
Yeah.
A Rebel T. It was so they had different levels of them back then. It was like the I was the intermediate level. So the Rebel series was kind of the introduction to cameras and stuff, and I think the I was intermediate. It was like a step above, so the camera had more features, but obviously it wasn't still had a crop sensor lens and stuff on it, or a crop lens, and so I think it was a T something I.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to say T1I, but that might be too early. Maybe it was a couple after that. You know?
Yeah, that's dope though.
Yeah, it was dope. I used to take that motherfucker everywhere, and then I went to. It wasn't the Copper Cup. It's what was before the Copper Cup or whatever. I went down there for St. Patty's Day, and I was drinking, and I had the camera with me in the bag, and I set it down, and I had a couple of drinks, and fucking, it was gone. Somebody took it.
Damn.
Got me for everything, bro. I had the lenses and everything, and there was like $1,200 worth of gear, and he's slipping. You know what I mean? I was drunk, slipping. Learned real quick, like, you know.
Yeah.
You ain't paid attention, somebody will get you.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. But at that point, I had already got my beak wet, and so I was locked in, and I was like, you know what? Gotta give me another one. You know what I mean?
You're already hooked there.
Yeah. Yep. And I started shooting video with it and stuff at that point, and you know what I mean? So I was like, now I gotta get one, you know, and I knew way more about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so at that point I was like, all right, I know the features I want, and I know the direction I need to go with this, so.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It was your first step in, but it doesn't sound like it was just a step. It sounded like it was a whole dive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Man.
Yeah. I somehow find myself doing that when I go to do something. I don't just, you know what I mean, do it half. Sometimes I don't do it the best, but if I dive in, I go, fuck it, we're going all the way. You know what I mean?
That's dope. So you have. We'll get into your history and everything that you've done for photography, but we're just kind of breaking into how you got into it. When you did find yourself pushing into that, well, do you remember the first show that you were like, I gotta go take photos of this?
So the first big one, I don't remember the very first one, but the very first big one, ironically, was the Rock the Bells Festival at Red Rocks in Denver, Colorado. And I applied. We were gonna go, and this was 2009, and it was just kind of on a whim, and I just got a hold of a media person's phone number, email, something like that, and this was just on a whim, and I said, fuck it. I emailed them. I had a nice website put up, and they were able to reference my work, and I hit them up, and they set me up and sent me a list with all the media contacts on it, and just said, line up your interviews. And that was this was 2009 at Red Rocks, and that was when I went and did my first official interview with Tech, Cuddy, and Chris backstage at Red Rocks. But the headliners were Nas and Damian Marley. Busta Rhymes and Flip Mode Squad were there. Slaughterhouse.
You met all those fools that same day.
Yep. Yeah, I was in the front. I didn't get to interview everybody.
Yeah.
But I was in the front row in the photo pit taking pictures, and I got to go backstage and kick it with Tech and all them. And I had just booked Tech to perform in Des Moines on the KOD tour. He was playing Red Rocks and then kicking off his KOD tour. And so when I was down there, Trav was walking around, and I did an interview with Trav and kicked it with him. And then and during the interview, I told him, "Oh yeah, we just booked you guys, water." And he was like, "Okay, cool." And yeah, Trav's always been a super humble dude and really easy to talk to as well. Always been a good dude.
Nice. We will dive into a little bit more about that, but we kind of skipped over just a little, I guess, not a little bit, but a little bit of your childhood we were kind of going through. And we spoke a little bit about your brothers, but if you want to learn more about that, you're going to have to tune into episode 2.